Hello, welcome to Cultic Cube, your source for Magic the Gathering theory for cube players and cube curators. Today we'll discuss the specifics of the March 2019 update to my 450 card legacy cube, Elaesis. Each of my updates borrows its code name from a cocktail, and this month's update is called Green Dragon, in a nod to St. Patrick's Day. Green Dragon is an update that brings some high-powered ammunition to the cube. We are adding a few splashy, high casting cost cards for cheaty decks, big ramp, and control. We are also slotting in some aggressive tools, particularly ones that work to boost one's aggressive creatures, such as via equipment. Midrange gets shuffled around a bit. We are both continuing to drain green of midrange, as well as trying to bolster the options that do sit in the middle of the curve. A number of big names are entering our cube space. Stoneforge Mystic, Liliana, Karn, and Ugin. And we are testing a few cards that may be a bit iffy, but worth a look. We will walk through these changes, organized roughly thematically rather than by color. On to Aggro and our equipment package. Our pattern throughout this video will be that I will present the cards that are being cut, briefly, then move briskly on to the new additions. I hope this will allow you to pause on the cuts, if you would like to examine them more closely, as I often will not have a great deal to say about the cuts. Stoneforge Mystic finally makes her way into the cube. We run a fair number of equipment already, but we are celebrating Mystic's arrival by adding Sword of Dungeons and Dragons, as well as re-adding Heirloom Blade. I do not actually love the play patterns that the swords of X and Y tend to foster, particularly as I do not care for the protection mechanic in general. However, Sword of D&D looks like a fun card to try, and in all honesty it is probably not the worst of the swords. Heirloom Blade marks its reappearance in the cube. It is totally fine as an honorary sword. After this update, our equipment complement is the following: Bone Splitter, Skull Clamp, Lightning Greaves, Umezawa's Jitta, Grafted War Gear, Heirloom Blade, Sword of D&D, and Batterskull. So some other aggressive tools. I like Flicker Wisp quite well, even in the absence of explicit support for Blink as an archetype, but I wanted to lower White's curve. Harsh Mentor and Searing Blaze are both a bit too unreliable. Knight of the Holy Nimbus and Viashino Pyromancer are some new, inexpensive aggro options. Incendiary Flow replaces Searing Blaze, and Flow has the virtue of always doing what it says on the label. We are also adding some higher casting cost aggressive creatures. Skewer the Critics has thus far been unimpressive, typically operating nowhere near the Chain Lightning power ceiling that it offers. Skargan Hellkite gets a test as another Thundermaw Hellkite effect. We are now running too many red 5s, but we will see which we like best. And we are testing Venerated Loxodon over Benelish Marshal as an easier to cast effect that buffs the team. I expect that Loxodon will be about a 3-drop much of the time. On to Fatty Cheat. I do not hate any of the cards coming out, but I wanted to sharpen the focus of the Reanimator package a bit. We are adding Buried Alive as a second Entomb effect, and we are testing Diabolic Servitude over Living Death. We will have to see whether Buried Alive feels too narrow in the draft setting, as only one or possibly two decks want the card. Liliana the Last Hope also regrows creatures, though she does not reanimate them. She is an excellent control card, who is inexpensive, who can wreck an opposing board, and who feeds the yard. In Cube, I think she is actually better than Liliana of the Veil. The Scarab God also reanimates creatures after a fashion, though he is oriented more towards inevitability and value. We are making room for a few new cheat targets. Thalia's Lancers is totally fine, but is the worst of our white high-drop creatures, and Tassiger has come in and out of our cube a number of times now. We are trying Zetalpa, Primal Dawn, as white felt as if it needed another cheat target, and this is one resilient dinosaur. Also in is Shieldred, Whispering One, who is a little slow, but who is a classic value machine. Queen of the black reanimation targets until Grizzlebrand arrived. As for midrange, it breaks my heart, but we are cutting Oracle of Moldiah, who has become less and less impressive over time. She's often a 4-mana 2/2 who explores, which is not good enough. Acidic Slime is a similar story. He's great when he Stone Rains the opponent early, but the 5-mana defensive 2/2 left behind is not much beneficial to Green's plan. We are adding Thrun, the Last Troll, and Biogenic Ooze in those mid-range spaces. Plaguecrafter has not performed substantially better than Fleshbag Marauder, whom I don't especially like, so he is out in favor of reliable old Necrotal. I'd like to try out Ravager Worm, who may be too fair, but who at least has an interesting design. Decimator has been fine, but the fact that the trigger is on cast rather than on enters the battlefield is a huge knock against him. We have not been cubing Crucible of Worlds, and do not run Strip Mine or Wasteland, so Ramanap Excavator has been awfully low impact on the whole, even though he's cute with fetch lands. Nissa Worldwaker will be tested over her very similar sister, Nissa Vital Force. I like Vital Force a lot, and I'm not sure this change will stick, but I wanted to give Worldwaker a shot. We are also adding another rampant growth effect in the form of Into the North, which we will errata to read that it searches up a basic land instead of a snow land. Lifecrafter's Bestiary is back again to help base green mid-range decks generate reach. We will also test Repudiate Replicate, which I envision will usually be cast for the second mode. On to Control. Unbreakable Formation was a test from RNA that has not proven to be impressive. Cultivator's Caravan is a 3-mana rock that intentionally gates the power of Artifact Ramp by asking that one pay a premium for the effect. White gets an excellent Oblivion Ring and Council's Judgment, and Disenchant is back in as it should be. We had cut it to test another card, but I regret the cut, as actual Disenchant is invaluable to the environment. We are lowering the converted mana cost of our rocks slightly, thereby strengthening Artifact Ramp. I like all of the cards that are coming out of blue. They are tempo cards, and we have continued to cut back on tempo as a strategy, so these cards have lost a little value. Quench is strictly worse than Mana Leak, but outside of tempo strategies, Quench is often better than Memory Lapse, which it replaces. Supreme Will has gone in and out of the cube, but I miss the card. It is quite flexible, despite being a 3-mana tax counter, which sounds terrible. Oath of Jace is a test, to see whether a compulsive research that scries on upkeep is good enough. To make room for finishers, we are pulling out Boros Nahiri, whom I like, but who is pretty medium. Given that we are adding some Planeswalkers, I was looking to take at least one walker out. We are trying out the new Niv Mizzet as a control finisher and spells pay off. He looks totally uncastable, but he might well be worthwhile as top end in a dedicated Izzet spells deck. Most excitingly, we are adding the 2 huge colorless walkers, Karn Liberated and Ugin the Spirit Dragon. These are very respectable control top ends and ramp payoffs. You can construct a control deck that can cast Karn in a fair fashion. Ugin you will probably want to plan on cheating out in some fashion with Channel, Green Mega Ramp, or a high density of Artifact Ramp. Thanks for watching. Check out my Cube on Cube tutor via the link provided in the video description. I am also developing videos that treat cube drafting archetypes and strategy, so peruse the channel if you like to see the other videos available. Please do leave a comment if you have any feedback on any of the changes to the cube. If you have suggestions for other topics, please do leave those as well. Thanks very much.